everyone, now we are starting Unit 8, Biology in Human Welfare. It consists of Chapter 7, Human Health and Diseases, and Chapter 8, Microbes in Human Welfare. We will be covering them in two parts. First part will contain the human health and disease, and second part will have the microbes in human welfare. Let's go through the scientist introduction. So he is M.S. Swaminathan. We have talked about the green revolution. It was brought about by him. एंड उसमें क्या था, हमने लास्ट चैप्टर में पढ़ा था बायोटेक्नोलॉजी में, लाइक ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन में जो ईल्ड था वो 3 टाइम्स इंक्रीज हो गया था, बट इट वाज आल्सो नॉट सफिशिएंट फॉर द ग्रोइंग ह्यूमन पॉपुलेशन. उसमें हमने 3 रीजन्स पढ़े थे. वन वाज द पार्टली रीज़न एंड 2 वर द मेन रीजन्स. So let's move on to scientist introduction. M.S. Swaminathan did his graduation and post-graduation in botany from Madras University, and so he is also known for the development of the concept of crop cafeteria, crop scheduling, and genetically improving the yield and quality. Swaminathan initiated the collaboration with Norman Borlaug, which culminated in the Green Revolution. Though introduction of Mexican varieties of wheat in India, this was highly recognized and appreciated. He is also an initiator of Lab to Land and food security and several other environmental programs. He has been honored with Padma Bhushan and general other prestigious awards, medals and fellowships by institutions of excellence. So let's start our chapter. Chapter 7, Human Health and Disease. Health for a long time was considered as a state of body and mind where there was a balance of certain humors. This is what early Greeks like Hippocrates as well as Indian Ayurveda system of medicine asserted. They only said that health जो है state of body है and mind है जहाँ पे there is balance of certain humors. So this was also asserted by early Greeks and Hippocrates and Indian Ayurveda system. It was thought that persons with black bile belonged to the hot personality and would have fevers. This idea was arrived at by pure reflective thought. The discovery of blood circulation by William Harvey, using experimental method and demonstration of the normal body temperature in persons with black bile using thermometer, disproved the good humor hypothesis of health. So good humor hypothesis को किसने disprove किया? William Harvey, by the discovery of the blood circulation. In later years, biology stated that mind influences through neural system and endocrine system, our immune system, and that our immune system maintains our health. तो बाद में हमें बायोलॉजी में पता चला कि हमारा माइंड जो है इन्फ्लुएंस करता है न्यूरल सिस्टम को और एंडोक्राइन सिस्टम को एंड हमारे इम्यून सिस्टम को, एंड दीज टुगेदर इम्यून सिस्टम जो है वो हमारे हेल्थ को मेंटेन करता है. Hence, mind and mental state can affect our health. Of course, health is affected by genetic disorders, infections, and lifestyle. Genetic disorders, deficiency with which a child is born, and deficiencies or defects which the child inherits from the parents from birth. Infections, which we suffer from during our lifespan, and lifestyle including food and water we take, rest and exercise we give to our bodies, habits that we have or lack, etc. So the term health is very frequently used by everybody. हम generally बात कर लेते हैं we are healthy. Now how do we define health? Health does not simply mean absence of disease or physical fitness. It could be defined as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. This definition was given by WHO. It is defined as a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. When people are healthy, they are more efficient at work. This increases productivity and brings economic prosperity. Health also increases longevity of the people and reduces infant and maternal mortality. Balanced diet, personal hygiene and regular exercises are very important to maintain good health. Yoga has been practiced since time immemorial to achieve physical and mental health. Awareness about diseases and their effects on different bodily functions, vaccination, immunization against infectious diseases, proper disposal of waste, control of vectors and maintenance of hygiene in food and water resources are necessary for achieving the good health. When the functioning of one or more organs or the systems of the body is adversely affected, characterized by appearance of various signs and symptoms, we say that we are not healthy, such that we have a disease. Diseases can be broadly grouped into infectious and non-infectious. Diseases which are easily transmitted from one person to another are called infectious diseases. Infectious diseases are very common and every one of us suffers from these infections sometime or other. One of the examples of infectious diseases is a common cold caused by the rhinovirus. And almost everyone has suffered from this disease. Some of the infectious diseases like AIDS are fatal, मतलब they can cause the death. Among non-infectious diseases, cancer is the major cause of death. Drug and alcohol abuse also affect our health adversely. Common diseases in humans. A wide range of organisms belonging to bacteria, viruses, fungi, protozoans, helminths, etc. could cause diseases in man. Such disease-causing organisms are called pathogens. Most parasites are therefore pathogens as they cause harm to the host by living in or on them. So अगर इन रह रहे तो एंडोपैरासाइट्स, ऑन रह रहे तो एक्टोपैरासाइट्स. The pathogens can enter our body by various means, multiply and interfere with the normal vital activities, resulting in morphological and functional damage. Pathogens have to adapt to life within the environment of the host. For example, the pathogens that enter the gut must know the way of surviving in the stomach at low pH and resisting the various digestive enzymes. A few representative members from different groups of pathogenic organisms are discussed here along with the diseases caused by them. Preventive and control measures against these diseases in general are also briefly described. Salmonella typhi. It is a bacterial disease. Salmonella typhi is the name of the pathogen, a bacteria causing the disease typhoid fever. Salmonella typhi is a pathogenic bacterium which causes typhoid fever in human beings. These pathogens generally enter the small intestine. Remember small intestine. यहाँ पे आप बहुत confuse हो सकते हैं small intestine and large intestine में, because there are some diseases caused by helminths जो large intestine को affect करते हैं. So these pathogens generally enter the small intestine through food and water contaminated with them and migrate to other organs through blood. Sustained high fever 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache and loss of appetite are some of the common symptoms of this disease. Intestinal perforation and death may occur in severe cases. Severe cases में क्या हो सकता है? Intestinal perforation हो सकता है और death भी हो सकती है. Typhoid fever could be confirmed by the vital test. Vital test, a classic case in medicine, that of Mary Mallon, name of the cook, which was named Typhoid Mary, is worth mentioning here. She was a cook by profession and was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread typhoid for several years through the food she prepared. Bacteria. Other bacterial disease we are talking about pneumonia. Pneumonia और common cold में मेजर दो डिफरेंसेस हैं. निमोनिया इज कॉज बाय बैक्टीरिया एंड कॉमन कोल्ड जो है कॉज बाय राइनोवायरस. इट इज़ अ क्लास ऑफ वायरस. एंड निमोनिया में क्या होता है, हमारा जो लंग्स है वहाँ तक भी इन्फेक्शन जाता है, लोअर रेस्पिरेटरी पाथवे भी इन्फेक्ट होता है. लेकिन जो कॉमन कोल्ड है उसमें हमारा सिर्फ अपर रेस्पिरेटरी ट्रैक्ट जो है इन्फेक्ट होता है, नॉट द लंग्स. So bacteria like Streptococcus pneumonia and Haemophilus influenza are responsible for the disease pneumonia in humans which infects the alveoli, air-filled sacs of the lungs. As a result of the infection, the alveoli get filled with the fluid, leading to the severe problems in respiration. The symptoms of pneumonia include fever, chills, cough and headache. In severe cases, the lips and fingernails may turn grey to bluish in color. A healthy person acquires the infection by inhaling the droplets or aerosols released by an infected person or by even sharing glasses and utensils with an infected person. Dysentery, plague, diphtheria, etc. are some of the other bacterial diseases in man. तो हम bacterial diseases की बात करें, NCERT have mentioned the 5 bacterial diseases that are typhoid fever, pneumonia, dysentery, plague and diphtheria. So let's talk about the viral diseases. Many viruses also cause diseases in human beings. Rhinoviruses represent one such group of viruses which cause one of the most infectious human ailment, the common cold. They infect the nose and the respiratory passage but not the lungs. The common cold is characterized by nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat, hoarseness, cough, headache, tiredness, etc., which usually lasts for 3 to 7 days. Droplets resulting from cough or sneezes of an infected person are either inhaled directly or transmitted through contaminated objects such as pans, books, cups, doorknobs, computer keyboard or a mouse, etc., and cause infection in a healthy person. Some of the human diseases are caused by protozoans. प्रोटोजोन से कौन से डिसीजेज कॉज होते हैं? मलेरिया इज द बिगेस्ट एग्जाम्पल ऑफ प्रोटोजोन causing a disease in humans. You might have heard about malaria, a disease man has been fighting since many years. Plasmodium, a tiny protozoan, is responsible for this disease. Different species of Plasmodium: Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium malaria, Plasmodium falciparum, and here is also Plasmodium ovale. So, are responsible for different types of malaria. Of these, malignant malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum is the most serious one and can even be fatal. Let us take a glance at the life cycle of Plasmodium. Plasmodium enters the human body as sporozoites. Infectious form of the Plasmodium is a sporozoid. Infectious form through the bite of an infected female Anopheles mosquito. Male Anopheles mosquito do not bite or suck the blood from the humans. Only female Anopheles mosquito feeds on the human blood for their own cycle of reproduction. So the parasites initially multiply within the liver cells and then attack the red blood cells, resulting in their rupture. The rupture of red blood cells is associated with release of a toxic substance, hemozoin, which is responsible for the chills and the high fever recurring every 3 to 4 days. When a female Anopheles mosquito bites an infected person, these parasites enter the mosquito's body and undergo further development. The parasites multiply within them to form sporozoites that are stored in their salivary glands. When these mosquitoes bite a human, the sporozoites are introduced into his or her body, thereby initiating the events mentioned above. It is interesting to know that the malaria parasite requires two hosts, human and the mosquito, to complete its life cycle. The female Anopheles mosquito is the vector transmitting agent too. So female Anopheles mosquito यहाँ पे कैसा काम कर रहा है? It is acting as a vector as well as the host also. Vector for the transmission of Plasmodium and host for the completion of life cycle of Plasmodium. So talking about the life cycle of Plasmodium and the infection by the malaria. When a mosquito bites another human, sporozoites are injected in with the bite. इस मॉस्किटो ने बाइट किया एक ह्यूमन को, उसमें स्पोरोजॉइट्स इंजेक्ट कर दिए. these स्पोरोजॉइट्स, पैरासाइट स्पोरोजॉइट्स, रीच द लीवर थ्रू द ब्लड से ये लीवर में पहुँचेंगे. वहाँ पे वो अपनी एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन कंप्लीट करेंगे इन द RBC, red blood cells. The parasite reproduces asexually in the liver cells, bursting the cell and releasing into the blood. तो जो पैरासाइट्स हैं वो अपना रिप्रोडक्शन कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं, एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन इन द liver cells only. So the parasites reproduce asexually in the liver cells, bursting the cell and releasing into the blood. Then they release into the blood and then they move to the RBCs. Parasites reproduce asexually in the red blood cells also, bursting the red blood cells and causing cycles of fever and other symptoms because there is a pigment released that is hemozoin. रिलीज्ड पैरासाइट्स इन्फेक्ट न्यू RBCs. अब यहाँ पे जो इन्होंने ये सेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन किया उसके बाद RBC को बर्स्ट करके ये हीमोजोइन रिलीज़ करते हैं. उसकी वजह से साइकिल्स ऑफ फीवर आते हैं और अदर सिम्टम्स भी आते हैं, चिल्स. और जब ये बर्स्ट करते हैं RBC को, जो पैरासाइट्स हैं वो दूसरे RBCs को इन्फेक्ट करने चले जाते हैं. सो नाउ सेक्सुअल स्टेजेस गैमेटोसाइट्स डेवलप इन द रेड ब्लड सेल्स. रेड ब्लड सेल्स में जो है गैमेटोसाइट्स डेवलप हो जाते हैं प्लाज्मोडियम के. दिस इज़ द फीमेल गैमेटोसाइट, दिस इज़ द मेल गैमेटोसाइट. अब दीज गैमेटोसाइट्स आर टेकन अप बाय द मॉस्किटो बाइट करेगा, दैन पैरासाइट्स व स्पोरोजॉइट्स के फॉर्म में लीवर पे जाएंगे. लीवर में एसेक्सुअल रिप्रोडक्शन करेंगे और बर्स्ट करेंगे लीवर सेल को एंड रिलीज हो जाएंगे ब्लड में वो जाएंगे RBCs के पास. पैरासाइट रिप्रोड्यूस एसेक्सुअली इन रेड ब्लड सेल्स और वहाँ पे RBCs को जब बर्स्ट करेंगे तो हीमोजोइन पिगमेंट रिलीज करेंगे. दैट विल कॉज द साइकिल्स ऑफ फीवर एंड चिल्स भी कॉज होता है. दिस RBCs से जो हमारे पैरासाइट्स हैं वो निकलेंगे एंड दे विल इन्फेक्ट द न्यू रेड ब्लड सेल्स। वहाँ पे सेक्शुअल स्टेजेस डेवलप हो जाते हैं आरबीसीज के अंदर। दीज आर कॉल्ड गैमेटोसाइट्स, मेल गैमेटोसाइट एंड फीमेल गैमेटोसाइट्स। These gametocytes are taken up by the female anopheles mosquito and then mosquito के गर्ट में फर्टिलाइजेशन हो जाएगा और डेवलपमेंट होगा। आफ्टर दैट स्पोरोजोइट्स जो है स्पोरोजोइट्स फॉर्म हो जाएंगे और सैलिवरी ग्लैंड्स में स्टोर हो जाएंगे। मैच्योर इन्फेक्टिव स्टेजेस स्पोरोजोइट्स एस्केप फ्रॉम द गट एंड माइग्रेट टू द मॉस्किटो सैलिवरी ग्लैंड्स। So this was the stage in the life cycle of plasmodium. Moving on to our next disease, that is amoebiasis. Amoebiasis is caused by Entamoeba histolytica. It is a protozoan parasite in the large intestine. See, typhoid fever जो हो रहा था उसमें Salmonella typhi was infecting the small intestine. Amoebiasis में large intestine infect होती है. Of human which causes amoebiasis, amoebic dysentery. It is caused by Entamoeba histolytica. So, Entamoeba is a helminth. Entamoeba is a protozoan disease. So, symptoms of this disease include constipation, abdominal pain, cramps, and stools with excess mucus and blood clots. Houseflies act as a mechanical carrier and serve to transmit the parasite from feces of an infected person to the food and the food products, thereby contaminating them. Drinking water and food contaminated by the fecal matter as the main source of their infection. Ascaris, the common round worm, and the Vauchereria, the flyer worm, are some of the helminths which are known to be pathogenic to the man. Ascaris lumbricoides, an intestinal parasite, causes ascariasis. Symptoms of these diseases include internal bleeding, muscular pain, fever, anemia, blockage of intestinal passage, and the eggs of the parasite are excreted along with the feces of infected person which contaminate the soil, water and plants, etc. A healthy person acquires this infection through the contaminated water, vegetables, fruits, etc. अब हमने टाइफाइड फीवर पढ़ा, that was affecting the small intestine. We have talked about amoebiasis, Entamoeba histolytica. It was affecting the large intestine. Now we are talking about ascaris. Ascaris is affecting the intestine. Moving on to Vaucheria bancrofti and Vaucheria malae, the flyer worms cause a slowly developing chronic inflammation of the organs in which they live for many years, usually the lymphatic vessels of the lower limbs, and the disease is called elephantiasis or filariasis. The genital organs are also often affected, resulting in the gross deformities. The pathogens are transmitted to a healthy person through the bite of the female mosquito vectors, and it is transmitted by Culex mosquito, female Culex mosquito. Many fungi belonging to the genera Microsporum, Trichophyton and Epidermophyton. These are fungi. Genera कौन से हैं? Microsporum, Trichophyton and Epidermophyton. These are responsible for ringworms, which is one of the most common infectious diseases in man. Appearance of dried, scaly lesions on various parts of the body such as skin, nails and scalp are the main symptoms of this disease. These lesions are accompanied by intense itching. Heat and moisture help these fungi to grow, which makes them thrive in the skin folds such as those in the groin region or between the toes. Ringworms are generally acquired from the soil or by using the towels, cloths or even the comb of the infected individual. This is the diagram showing the ringworm affected area of the skin, and this is the diagram showing inflammation in the one of the lower limb due to the elephantiasis. Moving to next paragraph. Maintenance of personal hygiene and public hygiene is very important for prevention and control of many infectious diseases. Measures for personal hygiene include keeping the body clean, consumption of clean drinking water. Clean drinking water will prevent the acts of the ascaris. So ascariasis can be prevented by consumption of clean drinking water, food, vegetables and fruits, and keeping the body clean will prevent the fungal diseases. Public hygiene includes proper disposal of waste and excreta. It will help in preventing the diseases like helminthic diseases. Periodic cleaning and disinfection of water reservoirs to prevent the breeding of the mosquitoes. And because of it, the disease is transmitted by mosquitoes like from female Culex, the filariasis was transmitted, so it can be prevented, and female anopheles mosquito से जो malaria cause होता है that can also be prevented by periodic cleaning and disinfection of water reservoirs, schools, cesspools and tanks, and observing standard practices of hygiene and public catering. These measures are particularly essential where the infectious agents are transmitted through food and water, such as typhoid, amoebiasis and scariasis, in cases of airborne diseases such as pneumonia and common cold. In addition to the above measures, close contact with the infected person or their belongings should be avoided. For the diseases such as malaria and filariasis that are transmitted through insect vectors, the most important measure is to control or eliminate the vectors and their breeding places. This can be achieved by avoiding stagnation of the water in and around residential areas, regular cleaning of the household coolers, use of mosquito nets, introducing fishes like gambusia, which feeds on the mosquito larva, spraying of insecticides in ditches, drainage areas and swamps, etc. In addition, doors and windows should be provided with a wire mesh to prevent the entry of the mosquitoes. Such precautions have become more important, especially in the light of the recent widespread incidences of the vector-borne Aedes mosquito diseases like dengue and chikungunya in many parts of the India. Dengue and chikungunya are caused by they are caused by virus, and these are carried by vectors Aedes mosquito. Again, it is female Aedes mosquito. The advancements made in biological science have armed us to effectively deal with many infectious diseases. The use of vaccines and immunization programs have enabled us to completely eradicate the deadly diseases like smallpox. So we have used the vaccines and immunization programs which have been completely eradicating a deadly disease, smallpox. A large number of other infectious diseases like polio, diphtheria, pneumonia and tetanus have been controlled to a large extent by the use of vaccines, DPT vaccines, diphtheria, polio and tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis and tetanus, diphtheria, polio and tetanus. Biotechnology, about which you will read in the chapter 10, is at the verge of making available newer and safer vaccines. Discovery of antibiotics and various other drugs has also been enabled us to effectively treat infectious diseases. Now let's talk about immunity. Every day we are exposed to a large number of infectious agents. However, only a few of these exposures result in diseases. Why? This is due to the fact that body is able to defend itself from most of these foreign agents. This overall ability of the body to fight the disease-causing organisms conferred by the immune system is called the immunity. Immunity दो टाइप की हो सकती है, innate immunity and the acquired immunity. Innate immunity is non-specific type of defense that is present at the time of birth. This is accompanied by providing different types of barriers to the entry of the foreign agents into our body. Innate immunity consists of 4 types of barriers. These are physical barrier, physiological barrier, cellular barrier and cytokine barrier. Physical barriers. Skin on our body is the main barrier which prevents the entry of the microorganism. Mucus coating of the epithelium lining the respiratory, the gastrointestinal and urogenital tracts also help in trapping microbes entering our body. Physiological barriers, acid in the stomach, saliva in the mouth, tears from the eyes all prevent the microbial. Cellular barriers. Certain types of leukocytes, WBCs of our body like polymorphonuclear lymphocytes, PMNL, neutrophils and monocytes and natural killer type of lymphocytes in the blood are, as well as the macrophages in the tissue, can phagocytize and destroy the microbes. Cytokine barriers. Virus infected cells secrete proteins called interferons. Interferons are the proteins secreted by the virus infected cell which protect non-infected cells from further viral infection. Let's talk about acquired immunity. Acquired immunity, on the other hand, is a pathogen specific. It depends on the type of the pathogen. It is characterized by memory. Second response जो होता है वो memory से ही produce होता है. This means when our body encounters a pathogen for the first time, it produces a response called the primary response, which is of low intensity. Subsequent encounter with the same pathogen elicits a highly intensified secondary or an amnestic response. This is ascribed to the fact that our body appears to have memory of the first encounter. The primary and secondary immune responses are carried out with the help of the 2 special types of lymphocytes present in the blood, the B lymphocytes and the T lymphocytes. The B lymphocytes produce an army of proteins in response to the pathogens into our blood to fight with them. These proteins are called antibodies. The T cells themselves do not secrete antibodies but help the B cells to produce them. Each antibody molecule has 4 peptide chains. two small called the light chains and two longer called the heavier chains. Hence, an antibody is represented as S2L2. Different types of antibodies are produced in our body: IgA, IgM, IgE, IgG, and are some of them. IgP also. A cartoon of an antibody is given in the figure. Because these antibodies are found in the blood, the responses is also called as humoral immune response. This is one of the two types of our acquired immune response, antibody mediated. The second type of response is called cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity. So let's see the antibody molecule. This is antibody molecule. इसमें दो light chain होंगी और दो heavy chain होंगी. The smaller chains are the light chains. The larger chains are the heavier chains. So light chain is this one and heavier chain is this one. So between two heavier chains there are disulfide bonds, disulfide linkages. Between in the chain itself there are sulfide bonds. Between the light and the heavy chain also there are sulfide bonds. So now we will see the terminals of the antibody molecules. This is the N terminal and this is the C terminal. Heavy chain has the N terminal and the C terminal. N terminal is towards the upper side and C terminal is towards the lower side. So we can remember it like we are having two lines here, so it will form the N. And here we are only having this surface. We can complete it by making the C. So this is the C terminal and this one is the N terminal. So N terminal पे antigen binding site होता है between the light chain and the heavy chain. Antigen binding sites are present between the light chain and the heavy chain. The T lymphocytes mediate the cell-mediated immunity. Very often when some human organs like heart, eye, liver, kidney fail to function satisfactorily, the transplantation is the only remedy to enable the patient to live a normal life. Then the research begins to find a suitable donor. Why is that the organs cannot be taken just from anybody? Why is that the doctor said grafts from just any other source, an animal, another planet or any other human beings cannot be made, since the graft would be rejected sooner or later. Tissue matching, blood group matching are essential before taking any graft or transplant, and even after the patient has to take the immunosuppressants all life. An example of immunosuppressant is cyclosporin. The body is able to differentiate self and non-self, and the cell-mediated immune response is responsible for the graft rejection. Active and passive immunity. When a host is exposed to antigens, which may be in the form of living or dead microbes or other proteins, antibiotics are produced in the host body. This type of immunity called the active immunity. Active immunity is slow and takes time to give its full effective response. Injecting the microbes deliberately during immunization or infectious organism gaining access into the body during natural infection induce the active immunity. This line is very important. Active immunity में injecting the microbes deliberately during immunization or infectious organism gaining access into the body during natural infection induce the active immunity. तो जो immunization होता है ना, जब हम इंजेक्ट करते हैं माइक्रोब्स को deliberately during immunization, that is also an example of active immunity only. Passive immunity भी नहीं आता because उसमें हम weakened pathogens डाल रहे हैं. अब pathogens अगर डाल रहे हैं तो body will produce antibodies against it itself. So it is an example of active immunity. When ready-made antibodies are directly given to protect the body against foreign agents, it is called the passive immunity. You know why mother's milk is considered very essential for the newborn infant? Because it contains an IgA antibody. The yellowish fluid colostrum secreted by the mother during the initial days of lactation has abundant antibodies to protect the infant. The fetus also receives some antibodies from their mother through the placenta during pregnancy, and that antibody is IgG. We receive IgG from the placenta. There are some examples of passive immunity. These were some examples of passive immunity. Vaccinations and immunization. The principle of immunization or vaccination is based on the property of memory of the immune system. In vaccination or preparation of antigenic proteins or the pathogens or inactivated or weakened pathogen or vaccine are introduced into the body, the antibodies produced in the body against the antigens would neutralize the pathogenic agents during the actual infection. The vaccines also generate B and T cells that recognize the pathogen quickly on subsequent exposure and overwhelm the invaders with a massive production of antibodies. If a person is infected with some deadly microbes to which quick immune response is required, as in the tetanus, we need to directly inject the preformed antibodies or antitoxin or preparation containing antibodies to the toxin. Even in case of the snake bites, the injection which is given to the patient contains preformed antibodies against the snake venom. So anti-venom and anti-tetanus जो antibodies जो हम directly देते हैं for the quick immune response, these are made up of the preformed antibodies. This type of immunization is called the passive immunization because we are injecting the ready-made antibodies. Recombinant DNA technology has allowed the production of antigenic polypeptides or pathogenic bacteria or yeast. Vaccines produced using this approach allow large-scale production and hence greater availability for immunization. Example, hepatitis B जो vaccine है that was produced from the yeast. Allergies. What are allergies? When you have gone to a new place and suddenly you started sneezing, wheezing for no explained reason, and when you went away, your symptoms disappeared. Did this happen to you? Some of us are sensitive to some small particles in the environment. The above-mentioned reaction could be because of the allergy to pollens, mites, dust, etc., which are different in different places. The exaggerated response of the immune system to certain antigens present in the environment is called allergy. This allergy is due to the IgEs and due to the secretions of the mast cells. The substances to which such an immune response is produced called the allergens. The antibodies produced to these are of IgE type. Common examples of allergens are mites in dust, pollens, alimentarians, etc. Symptoms of allergic reactions include sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, and difficulty in breathing. Allergy is due to the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the mast cells. Allergy क्यों होती है? Because of the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the mast cells. For determining the cause of allergy, the patient is exposed to or injected with very small doses of possible allergens and the reactions is studied. The use of drugs like antihistamine, adrenaline and steroid quickly reduce the symptoms of allergy. Remember, it is antihistamine, adrenaline and steroids for the reducing the symptoms of allergy. Somehow, modern day lifestyle has resulted in lowering of the immunity and more sensitivity to the allergens. More and more children in the metro cities of India suffer from allergies and asthma due to the sensitivity to the environment. This could be because of the protected environment provided early in their life. Autoimmunity. What is autoimmunity? We have read about many autoimmune disorders like myasthenia gravis, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, vitiligo. Let's talk about what is autoimmunity. Memory-based acquired immunity evolved in higher vertebrates based on the ability to differentiate foreign organism, example pathogen, from self cells. While we still do not understand the basis of these two corollaries of this ability have to be understood. One, higher vertebrates can distinguish foreign molecule as well as the foreign organisms. Most of the experimental immunology deals with this aspect only. Two, sometimes due to the genetic and other unknown reasons the body attacks the cells. This results in damage to the body and is called the autoimmune disease. Rheumatoid arthritis, which affects many people in our society, is an autoimmune disorder. Immune system in the body. The human immune system consists of lymphoid organs, tissues, cells and soluble molecules like antibodies. As you have read, immune system is unique in the sense that it recognizes the foreign antigens, responds to these and remembers them. The immune system also plays an important role in the allergic reactions, autoimmune diseases and organ transplantation. Lymphoid organs. These are the organs where origin and maturation and proliferation of lymphocytes occur. Remember this line, lymphoid organs को बहुत बार question आ चुका है. These are the organs where origin and maturation and proliferation of the lymphocytes occur. The primary and lymphoid organs are bone marrow and thymus, where immature lymphocyte differentiates into antigen-sensitive lymphocytes. After maturation, the lymphocyte migrate to the secondary lymphoid organ. Secondary lymphoid organ के example क्या होंगे? spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches of small intestine and appendix. So there are 5: spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches of small intestine and appendix. The secondary lymphoid organ provides the site for interaction of lymphocyte with the antigen, which then proliferate to become the effector cell. The location of various lymphoid organs in the human body is shown in the figure. These are the lymph nodes. This is the thymus gland. This is the lymphatic vessels. So let's move further. The bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ where all the blood cells including lymphocytes are produced. The thymus is a lobed organ located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. This line is very important. It is present beneath the breastbone, not above the breastbone, and it is a lobed organ. The thymus is quite large at the time of birth, but keeps reducing in size with age, and by the time puberty is attained, it reduces to a very small size. And this is due to which we have seen the old age people have low immunity, because उनके में thymus जो है वो बहुत small size में reduce हो जाता है. Both bone marrow and thymus provide microenvironments for the development and maturation of the T lymphocytes. Bone marrow and thymus जो है दोनों provide करते हैं microenvironments for the development and maturation of the T lymphocytes. The spleen is a large bean-shaped organ. It mainly contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. Spleen mainly contains the lymphocytes and phagocytes. It acts as a filter of the blood by trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Spleen also has a large reservoir of erythrocytes. The lymph nodes are small solid structures located at different points along the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes help to trap the microorganism or the antigens which happen to get into the lymph and the tissue fluid. Antigens trapped in the lymph nodes are responsible for the activation of lymphocytes present there and cause an immune response. There is lymphoid tissue also located with the lining of the major tracts like the respiratory tract, digestive tract and urogenital tract called the mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. It consists about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in the human body. So this was all about the part 1 of human health and disease. We will be covering AIDS and cancer and further retroviral drugs and detection and treatment of cancer, drugs, alcohol abuse and addiction in the next part. So till then, stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed the lecture. Thank you for listening out.